Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. So the massive strike that was planned in the United States for International Women's Day yesterday turned out to be a complete failure. And I have to tell you, I am so not surprised because what I expected to happen actually came to pass. I mean, of course, the strike ended with the protesters attacking and insulting each other and writing nasty articles in the aftermath about how unfair their lives are and how much more oppressed they are compared to the others. It's entirely possible, let me just say, for women to be really good friends and to love each other genuinely, but not these types of women that we're talking about, the ones who went out to protest, because they function on pettiness and jealousy, and their main goal at all, in showing up was to get as much attention as possible and to virtue signal. So I never expected the women to be able to unite under one common cause to do anything to change Donald Trump's path or his policies. I also like how all the mainstream media outlets actually agree that the protest was a failure. Unlike the Women's March back in January, which they blew up to a massive proportion, they made it seem like it was some earth-shattering, amazing, historic event, when it was actually more like this. And of course, I have to share with you the mainstream media's sole reasoning for the failure of this strike, this protest, which I think is actually best summed up by one of the feminists, the original organizers of the Women's March. Here are her words. "Stupid. That's what I first thought," says Angie Beam, the state director of the Women's March that in Seattle drew tens of thousands of participants on January 21st. "What's the purpose of a strike when you can't afford a day to not work? Women who could possibly do this are in an executive type position. Life will go on for them. Their career is more stable." This screamed ... Guess the next two words. "White privilege," concludes Beam. Yeah, that's the angle that the mainstream media is taking. "A day without a woman is a strike for privileged protesters. Is the Day Without a Woman protest elitist? Participants in the Day Without a Woman are privileged. So what? Day Without a Woman protest sparks debate on white privilege." And then there's this article in Quartz that is seriously describing how sad and miserable it is that women are unable to abandon their kids for a day or just stop cleaning after them. I mean, what? Just the concept that some women would actually seriously consider abandoning their children for some retarded protest is unbelievable. What is wrong with you people? Seriously, like, what would you do? Like, take your kid out in the stroller and roll him into the park and be like, "All right, sweetheart, I'm gonna be back for you tomorrow. I couldn't find a babysitter for you in the area because all of them are striking, and I don't really trust that middle-aged male babysitter down the street who has this weird landscaping hobby that he does at midnight every weekday. So anyway, good luck. I've got a day's worth of Pop-Tarts prepared for you, in the little flap. I'll be off at the bar tonight, getting wasted, fighting Donald Trump by having casual sex with illegal Mexicans." Okay, I think that was a little bit too much. I'm sorry. But seriously, why have we become such spoiled, useless people that we view the tiniest bit of responsibility as some form of oppression that we need to be freed from? Is the ideal life that women strive for really just us being alone and living for casual sex partners and fighting to get some undeserved high-paying position in a company so that we could spend all our extra money on Starbucks milkshakes and expensive shoes and cats? Is that really it? This lifestyle focusing on superficial things just to drown out our loneliness is basically just a symbolic rejection of godly principles. Instead of working towards something really lasting, something that's greater than we are, like building a family and a home, instead of that, we are just living for ourselves, just for the moment, just trying to get some sort of momentary temporal pleasure. And here's the thing, I actually agree with the assertions that these protests are for the privileged. Madonna, Lena Dunham, all the crazy celebrities were out there fervently supporting feminism. Marc Jacobs, the fashion designer, he created this weird cat lady shirt and video that I'm gonna show you right here. What? And then we have Emma Watson, who went around New York City hiding feminist literature by public monuments like some kind of weird, creepy Easter bunny, and then posting about her whole day on Twitter. I mean, take a look at these clips from the protests themselves and tell me your opinion on them.
A day without a woman is a day without me. A day without a woman is a day without me.
It doesn't matter how reasonable the other person is or how much less crazy they are, we're still gonna resist because we need so much more than we've gotten, not just in the last year, not in the last 5 years or the last 10 years, but for the last couple centuries. We need welfare wage. We need it all. We need to keep resisting.
Equal wages, and we want them today. We want respect on our jobs. We want sexual harassment to stop. This is our country, and we want it back. You work for us. You work for us. You work for us.
Keep on pushing to the top. Keep on moving. Gotta keep on pushing to the top. Keep on pushing.
It's mostly liberal, white, career women protesting and competing in a virtue signaling competition, while mixed in you have a couple of male feminists and some minority provocateurs from Black Lives Matter. Also, this Muslim activist who just wanted to get arrested so that she could get attention. And look at the pictures on Twitter. Look at how happy she and the other main organizers are after getting arrested. These protests are not natural grassroots movements that the majority of women support. I wrote about this on my blog the other day, and I'll link to that post in the description, but the organizers of these events, one of whom is a convicted terrorist, are all part of an extended group of civil organizations like Amnesty International, for example, who also, of course, had to post their support of this whole thing. They are using gullible women as a tool to fight a cultural and political battle for them. And they are doing this by insulting and making a complete mockery out of our natural female virtues. Women's Day, in my opinion, should be about celebrating femininity. There's nothing wrong with men giving flowers and chocolates to women and appreciating them and saying, I love you. But it would be amazing if women had a moment to refocus on their positive natural qualities and maybe spending some extra time caring for kids or just really appreciating their boyfriends or their husbands, not nagging and complaining, and maybe learning a new recipe, doing something really fun and creative, like some nice art project, you know, decorating the house, whatever, and just being happy and energized to be the best women that you can be. I mean, we're in March right now. It's a beautiful season, a spring season full of renewal. It's a perfect time to prepare for Easter, and it's really unfortunate how International Women's Day, which could be a very positive experience, has to be corrupted by these insane protests. Of course, I know that the various outliers and feminists like Lena Dunham, they would screech like the damned about discrimination and the lack of inclusion if we ever had a day celebrating femininity. And in a way, yes, if you think about it, there is discrimination because there is a standard, and a standard is a value. It's something that is held dear and normal. It's useful for society if it's followed, and we need to have basic principles that are generally respected by us as a people. Something that we can agree on is worth striving for and maintaining. And these things, they aren't necessarily oppressive and rigid and evil, but they're things like simple, like it's considered good for us to keep our public parks clean and not litter and shit in the bushes and cut off the flowers. I mean, those are basic things that all people can agree on, and the ones that don't have to face the consequences in some way. We are now at the point in society where women are actually being forced by these activists to celebrate the opposite of what is good and to shun femininity. Instead of working towards being healthy and caring and moral, which is a natural trait of women to begin with, but it does require a little bit of self-discipline to perfect. Instead of that, we are promoting fat positivity and slut walks and overall nasty, rude attitudes. Unbelievably nasty attitudes if you look at some of the articles that you can see in mainstream media. So the good thing, however, is that I did notice that there are a lot of conservative women and some really funny, sarcastic husbands criticizing these protests. They did not relent. And I think this added to the overall failure of the event. So yeah, we survived this as well, and I think it's a definite sign that the leftists' protests are weakening and that Donald Trump will sail in, cruise right into a very nice, successful presidency. And yeah, that's about all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for watching, and check out the links that I have in the description, and to all the articles that I mentioned, and also to my blog, which I started about a month ago. I post like shorter articles, topics, and writings, and also some recipes that I like to make. And yeah, so see you all soon, guys.